everybody who wrote letters to the judge, for everybody who called in, for everybody who was so supportive. And, I've been working on a book since I've been released. I just finished the rough draft last night, so I was ready in case I had to go back to jail. I'd be able to manage the editing process and publication, from in jail. We're still going to be releasing it on Independence Day, but I have a really big announcement now, and I'm very excited to be able to do this on schedule, and that is that I am moving to Los Angeles, and we are going to launch ABTM 4.0. We're going to come back better and stronger as a result of all of this. And I'll be zigzagging across the country in February on a wonderful road trip. If you'd like to have me come and speak or meet up for something, please let me know. Email me, Adam at adamversustheman.com. But today we are launching the ABTM 4.0 launching crowdfunder campaign. So please check it out, adamversustheman.com. We'll have all the links in the description below. If you're not already watching this video from adamversustheman.com on our new website, hope you like it. And as you can probably guess, I'm doing this video from my phone. We're going to need new gear to relaunch, and after having so much stolen while I was locked up in solitary and so much of my operation trashed, it's kind of like starting from scratch now. But I know that we can do this. I know with your support, ABTM is going to come back stronger and better than ever. And this has been a very successful period of activism, and this particular act of gun rights activism, I have to admit, it was a little naive of me to not foresee the exact consequences. It was a little more costly than I expected, but it was very effective. We reached millions of people thanks to your support and spreading the message, and that's what makes this all worthwhile for me. So, I do have to say, it hurts me a little bit to admit, but in the past, Adam versus the Man as an overall production has only been about half of what it should have been because of poor organization and lack of consistent production quality. We're going to fix that. We're going to come back stronger and better than ever with your support. So check out, if you're watching this on the Adam vs. the Man website, check out the kickbacks. If not, get over to adamversustheman.com and support the ABTM 4.0 crowdfunder campaign. You can do this. Thank you so much. Love you all. And we'll be back on the interwebs, kicking and doing our thing in a daily production of the live show as soon as possible. Thanks so much.
Mr. Kokesh,
Yes.
what was the sentence?
Well, I was sentenced to time served plus a pretty hefty suspended sentence and a 2-year period of probation. I'm grateful that the judge understood that what I did was with the intentions of standing up for civil rights, and I think she appreciates that I'm not a danger, I'm not a threat, and I think her wisdom reflected that. But it was also because of the support of so many people who believe in what I do, who believe in the cause of liberty, who understand that self-defense is a fundamental civil right and a very important one. And if it wasn't for people who were able to bring the pressure to bear on the system that they did through writing letters and leaving voicemails for the judge and writing letters while I was in jail, I don't think this would have been possible. And I'm very grateful for all that support.
Are you utterly unremorseful, like the prosecutor said?
Well, remorse is... there's an important distinction between like remorse and taking responsibility, and I don't have any regrets. I know that no one was harmed by my actions, but I definitely feel that I'm absolutely responsible for all the consequences, some of which I did not foresee. And in a way, it was naive of me to think that the government would not react to being challenged with such violence and such force as they did. As you know, my home was invaded. A flashbang grenade was thrown in front of me at my dog. I had laser sights pointed at my chest. I was roughed up while handcuffed on the floor for 5 hours, and my home was ransacked. And then I did, over 2 months in solitary confinement plus 2 months in general population here. I didn't expect that. That was kind of naive of me.
What's your understanding of having to register as a gun offender?
That there will be certain restrictions on my rights, and I'm going to be finding out today exactly what those are and consulting with a lawyer about that. But I don't want to speak above my pay grade about those technicalities.
Does it likely mean, though, that there are going to be restrictions on guns you can own?
That's correct.
Are you still planning to move to California like you said in court?
I am moving to Los Angeles and relaunching ABTM as a daily live show as soon as possible.
Do you have any regrets?
Life's too short for regrets.
What did you mean when you said you were sorry for the waste of law enforcement resources?
Well, I think it's a real shame. And, in civil disobedience, I think it's important that we try to do our best to foresee the consequences. And like I said, I did not foresee those consequences. And while I understand that civil disobedience entails attracting a certain amount of attention from the government, I had no idea that would have been as extensive as it was.
That wasn't some kind of joke.
No, not at all. I sincerely meant everything I said there. And for those people that do rely on the park police, in a sense, those are the real victims, and they were harmed by that. The taxpayers that do depend on the government for protection services. But I think there's an important lesson to be learned from this, is that we should not depend on government for protection services. Not only are they dangerous and counterproductive, they're incredibly inefficient.
How relieved are you not going to prison?
Well, it's obviously a great relief to not be going back to jail today, and to not have to report back to jail in the future, at least for the time being. So, I was ready for it, and I was in combat for 7 months. Going to jail really isn't the hardship here. It was really being betrayed by those who I trusted while I was locked up, who stole my legal defense funds, who stole gear and equipment for my operation, who trashed my home and got me evicted, so that when I got out of jail, even after just 4 months, I was really starting from scratch. But I'm ready to rebuild. I'm looking forward to it. And if I had to go back to jail today, I was ready to do that. I just finished the rough draft of my book, and if I had to manage the editing process and the publication process from jail, I would have been more than happy to do that. It'll still be released on Independence Day. And of course, jail is just another outreach opportunity. There are lots of guards to speak to, and when I got locked up before, I was surprised to find out how many of them had been fans of Adam versus the Man before this even happened. But you didn't, except for the inmates who said, "Yeah, we support gun laws because we want our victims disarmed." You didn't find a lot of people in jail who weren't sympathetic with the cause and appreciate people challenging government power. So I was, in jail itself, I was pretty happy, and I was relatively comfortable. I was very well respected by the other inmates and the guards. So, I'm more than happy to endure hardship for the cause, but I know that I'm going to be more effective on the outside right now.
What's this mean for the Second Amendment and the Constitution?
Well, the Second Amendment wasn't doing too well, before I got locked up, and I think what this means is that more people have had their awareness raised about the significance of self-defense as a civil right and standing up for it. In fact, I'd like to introduce you right now to a friend of mine. Come here, brother. Who? Thank you, sir. Hey, tell him your name and introduce yourself.
Charles James.
Now, this gentleman was the former cellmate of the gentleman that was my cellmate when I got to general population DC jail. And he was in for the most absurd kind of gun charge. And it wasn't an act of civil disobedience in his case. It was an act of getting lost and being on the wrong side of an imaginary government line drawn on a map with a firearm in his vehicle and a vindictive police officer that took advantage of him, and a system that didn't have any respect for his rights. And gun control is not about guns, it's about control, and this man's story can certainly attest to that. But, the injustice that you suffered, really, and the injustice that I suffered are really insignificant compared to what a lot of the guys on the inside still are dealing with. So I don't know if you have anything you'd like to say at this point, but your story is certainly an important one.
I mean, the government, the way they play around with the gun laws is just ridiculous. I had a legal gun registered and owned by me. I just was happening to travel to the state by accident. I got lost. I got pulled over with my legal gun in my car. I served 6 months in jail. I had to go to the federal penitentiary for something that I had nothing to do with. So that's what it is.
Do you find it ironic that we are just a block away from the Constitution where it's stored in the archives?
Oh, there's plenty of irony here in DC. I think that's the least of it. Hey, brother, it's good to see you, man.
Oh, man, you don't even know. I was thinking about you. I see you on the news the other day.
They love playing that 22-second video, huh?
Yeah.
He's got my cell on. I'm moving to Los Angeles and relaunching ABTM as ABTM 4.0, Adam versus the man, and I appreciate everybody who supported me thus far. But as my fans know, I went through a lot when I was in jail, not because of what happened in jail, but because my operation was sabotaged and all my legal defense funds, among many other things, were stolen. So we're launching today the ABTM 4.0 crowdfunder campaign. So please go to Adam versus the man and go check it out and help us with the relaunch. We're going to come back stronger and better than ever before.
What will your restrictions be on firearms?
Well, it's typical for a convicted felon or a gun offender, but I don't want to speak above my pay grade in terms of the exact legal restrictions there.
You may be prohibited from owning or handling firearms in the future. Will you comply with that prohibition?
As long as that is in effect, yes, I will.
As a felon, I mean, depending on the state you live in, it may be forever.
That's correct.
What's the rule in California, do you know?
Well, in California, gun laws are pretty restrictive anyway, so it wouldn't be too relevant there.
Lessons learned from all this?
Well, I definitely underestimated the costs of this action, but I'm glad that it happened the way that it did, and we raised a lot of awareness. Of course, standing up for injustice is always valuable, but especially when it's for that most fundamental right of self-defense, which is absolutely a civil right. And a lot of the problems that we're facing today as a country is because people don't stand up for the rights. We allowed our government to get out of control.
Who sabotaged you lived at a sort of a group home in Virginia. Who sabotaged you and who absconded with the money?
Employees. Former employees.
So are you starting over with nothing? You tell me.
Not quite, but pretty much started from scratch, yes.
But you're going to continue to be an activist?
Absolutely. This is my life's calling to stand up for justice and to fight for a nonviolent society that is based on the rule of law, based on self-ownership, that we own ourselves, and that it's immoral for anybody to ever initiate force against another person, whether or not they have a badge or a fancy hat or a well-written law behind them. There are certain fundamental values that are universal to the human experience. We all want to be able to prosper. We all want to be able to live our lives without anybody forcibly interfering. I think that the more we stand up for that, the better we'll be off as an entire species.
Does this philosophy have a name?
Voluntarism.
Voluntarism?
The belief that all human relations should be voluntary, that is, free of force, fraud, and coercion. But more importantly, this is what it means to fundamentally believe in freedom. Either you believe in freedom or you don't. And if you believe in freedom, you believe that you as a human being own yourself, and no one else can tell you how to live your life or initiate force against you.
Spell the word voluntarism. I haven't
Voluntary.
And then ISM.
That's it. Yeah.
So Y and then ISM.
That's correct.
All right. Do we need cuts or anything, Dougie?
I don't think so.
When are you going to LA?
February.
Now let's see. As I recall, I think you told me that you get some disability from your military service.
That's correct.
And you live on that, or you have in the past.
That's correct. And I haven't drawn a salary since ABTM went independent because everything's been going back into the business because I believe in it that much.
All right. As I say to everyone, good luck. Make $1 million.
Thank you very much.
Pay your taxes.
My taxes? Your taxes.
Well, you know, but they got Capone on taxes. They get everybody on taxes. As an accountant once told a good friend of mine who was running a catering business, you can violate all the rules you want. Pay your taxes because they're merciless.
Well, doesn't that tell you something about the real intent of government?
I mean, you got Lauren Hill, you got Wesley Snipes. Who else got
Big or small?
Absolutely.
Adam, just trying to give you some advice.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Good question for you.
Hold on.
All right. Thanks, Fox 5. Thanks for covering up.
Thanks for being here, brother. Really appreciate it.
I'm gonna get some paint to paint my RV someday soon.
You're gonna say what?
To paint my RV.
Oh,
I'm gonna do that someday soon.
are you gonna be at the dinner or do everything better? You know.
So
But
what would you say then? If,
we learn lessons and we move forward.
Okay. Sounds good. Learn lessons and move forward.
I hope the whole country takes it that way.
Cool.
With my messed up business model where I had an intern overseeing the affiliate program, but we're gonna have a full-time staff person doing that when I get to LA, so that if there's stuff that and obviously video editing, we have opportunities for people to make money doing that, or reporting independently or contributing to the channel separately. But I want to come up with some mechanisms, and we've got a few ideas that I'm confident will come together where, people can make money just sitting at home, supporting the cause, and there's always stuff that you can do with time to help. But I want you to be true to the message and do what makes your life better.
When I figure out how to plug a computer into a tree next to my tent.
Well, do you have any kind of access?
Yeah, I do, like public access, and I still got
Alright.
my old smartphone, which is not really.
Stay tuned, man.
You never know.
End of March, we should be going live.
Oh, really? Okay. I'm trying to become like a fundraiser.
Right. Okay. Good luck. See you.